Ivan, and I'm here to show you how Templatizer can help us to build our boilerplate projects. So I have already installed Templatizer on my computer, but if you visit the repo page in GitHub, you can find in the installation section different ways to install the software. I use a Homebrew because I'm working with macOS, but for example, if you are working with Ubuntu, you could take advantage of the Snap distribution. It would be really straightforward to install the tool on your computer. So now I'm going to open the Templatizer tool. Templatizer will open our browser, and actually, as you can see, it's pointing to localhost and a weird port and a strange port. This is because Templatizer find an available port on our local machine to deploy the web application on this port. So probably next time that we'll try to run Templatizer, the browser will be open pointing to a different port, but doesn't mind at all. So this is the form provided by Templatizer that we need to fill the values. In our case, we are going to use a template that is defined on a public repository on my user workspace. Basically, this template will be used to generate a boilerplate Golang project. As you can see, there is a main file, main Go, that contains variables. There is also a make file, Docker file, and even you can find dynamic folder. Well, folder with variables, but when we generate it, there will be generated with the name of the value that we set for this variable. And here, for example, you can see all the other values in the file. The most important part when we are working with Templatizer is the contract. The contract is defined in the Templatizer YAML file by default. This will be found in the root of our repository. This file contains the variables that will be used in our repository. Doesn't mind if these values are used to create the folder, the file, or part of the content in a file. So here you can find 5 variables that we are using in this template. Default message. This is a secret. You'll see later what does it mean. But actually, this is the way that we are going to render this value. Will be rendered as a password, not like a input field. Report name, Go version has a default value 1.17, and application. This is another variable that is used in our template. So let's copy the HTTPS URL. So far, Templatizer only supports HTTPS connection, but SSH will be supported in the upcoming releases. So now we can fill the field. We don't need to set any value for the branch because we are using the default branch. Doesn't mind if this is main or master. Templatizer will find the default one. And we don't need to set any authentication mechanism. The repository is public, but in case of we need to use a template, we want to use a template that is hosted in a private repository, we could use the basic form and enter here the name of your user, for example in GitHub, and the personal access token. But this is not our case, so we are going to leave it. And we can leave empty this field because by convention, Templatizer configuration file is in the root of the repository. So now we can click on the next button. And here in this part, we'll be asked to set the values for the variable. Default message, remember that this was a secret variable. So this is the reason, because we don't see the value that we are entering. We only see the asterisk values. Repo org, I'm going to set my own organization repo name, we can enter any value. For example, for the group version, 1.17 is the default one that we define in the template, but for example, I want to change it to 1.16. And for application, I'm going to leave this name. So now we can click on process template and a tarball will be downloaded on our local machine. Here you can find it. Well, actually, I should have a previous tarball download. I'm going to move it to another folder, and we are going to see the content of this folder. So I'm going to move from download template. I guess this is yes. Okay, to Templatizer demo. You are going to see the content of this folder now in Visual Studio Code, and you can see the folder was created with the value that we entered. If you remember, the template has a variable here, and for example, if we look at the Go mode file, here we had a few variables that had been replaced with the values that we entered in the previous step. And well, as I said, this repo contains a makefile, so we are going to run make build and make run, and we'll see what happened. Make build. Basically, this command will build a Docker image with the content that basically execute our Go binary file, and make run. So hello my friend, that was the secret value that I entered in the field here. So I hope you find it useful, this tool, and please any feedback, suggestion will be more than welcome. Cheers.